Okay, so I know that I said that I wasn't going to do anything for Joe Strummer's, 20-year anniversary of his death, but I just remembered that, first of all, the music he did was so awesome and amazing that we should acknowledge the fact that it's been 20 years since we lost him, and that is today, or at least the day I upload this video. This is obviously pre-recorded. But anyway, what I also remembered, without making this video sad and talking about death or anything like that, because I don't want to do that, what I also remembered was that I had this pickguard that I've taped down to this piece of cardboard, and if you remember, I made a video where I showed you how to dye it to make it look a little bit more vintagey or something like that. And so I was thinking that I'd show you how to do a Joe Strummer pickguard, because if you remember my last video about Joe Strummer, I said that I wasn't very impressed with the Fender Joe Strummer tribute guitar, and so I'm just going to show you how to make your own pickguard. And you can go as nerdy as you want with this. I'm just going to show you the basic technique that I would use. And in the end, however you go with it and how nerdy you go with it, you'll at least have something that looks better than the pickguard on the Fender Stratocaster, because that pickguard did not look very good at all. So you're going to need to use a grey primer. That's the first thing. And you're just going to spray the pickguard with it, but you don't need to spray all of it. You can spray only half, the lower half of it, right here. Okay, so after you've painted the grey primer, which is just like he did on his guitar, we're going to go out and do it again, but we're going to use black spray paint. And I'm just using a regular can that I got at the hardware store. You can go as fancy with this as you want to, but I would say it's punk. Buy the cheapest crap you can get, basically. Unless you really want to, do something that is period corrective. But yes, and again, he has no black paint up here, so there's no real reason to paint right there. But anyway, let's go out now and just spray paint some black. Okay, so here it is, and it's just been painted. So we're going to put it to the side and just wait for it to dry properly and gas off and all those things, because it needs to really be dried completely before we do the next thing. So I'll see you tomorrow, which will be now. Okay, so it's the next day now, and the paint is dried now. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start sanding the front of the guitar to break through the different layers and get the sort of worn off look that the original Joe Strummer guitar, the one he actually played, had. Because the thing is, his guitar didn't have a stencil or something like that on it to make it look like it was worn. It was worn because he played it. Okay, so here is the pickguard. I didn't spray all the way up because his pickguard doesn't seem to have any color left up here. But what that means is that we have a little bit of overspray here, and so we're gonna have to try and sand extra up here to get rid of some of it. And down here we're just gonna have to try and sand away a lot of the finish. And so I'm starting off with 800 grit wet and dry sandpaper, and now it's basically just a question of like where do you want the wear? Do you want it exactly where his wear is? Do you want it somewhere else? Do you want to make it a little bit more, your own thing, or do you want to make it exactly like his? If you're going to make it exactly like his, which I'm not going to bother even attempting, because this is more of a demonstration than an actual trying to do it. Maybe in one day I'll actually try to make a video where I, go into super details of trying to make an exact copy of his. I'm just going to sand here for a little bit, and I'll be back when I'm starting to look at something maybe a little bit more interesting than whatever it is I'm looking at. And if you think that you're going through it too fast with 800 grit, you can always move up. And I'm going to move up later when I'm starting to get down a bit. But even though I just spray one thin layer, it is pretty thick. But as you can probably see, I am getting through a lot of it. And my grey primer is down here, and you can see it's not the same gray primer as his guitar, because he had a really dark gray primer. My gray primer is more on the lighter side, but as you can see, if I take a bit of paper and clean it off, we're getting somewhere. It looks pretty worn, and with some of the scratches here, that was from when we did the first relicing of this guitar in the other video. You know, the color gets into the depth of it, so it creates something. Anyway, I'm gonna continue working on this, just sanding and sanding, and we'll be back when I feel like I've sanded enough, because I don't think you need to see more of the sanding than this. Okay, so here's the pickguard right now, and that's where I'm gonna stop. You can, if you want to, clear coat the pickguard afterwards so that it won't relic any more than this, or you can do the opposite and actually let it be worn by you playing, which is the natural way it ended up the way it ended up on Joe Strummer's actual guitar. But anyway, I hope this inspires you and that you think this is cool. I think it looks rather nice, actually, and I wouldn't mind having that on one of my guitars. But anyway, that's the end of this video. Talk to me in the comments below if you want to. Until next time, stay awesome and cool, and go and build yourself a telecaster that reminds you of The Clash and their awesome music, and of Joe Strummer, who was an awesome person.